So one of the best things about going to the cinema, in my opinion, is when you are sat there once the main film has finished, waiting for the post-credit scene. Now if you don't know what a post-credit scene is, it does what it says on the tin. It's the scene that happens post-credit, so after the credits have rolled. And I love these scenes because not everyone will have seen them, because not everyone knows about them, and not everyone stays long enough to see them. And for most people, once you see the credits, that's the end of a film. You're done. You walk out, you turn it off, you put another film on. But I love a post-credit scene. And one company that do them particularly well is Pixar. So today we're going to be ranking every Pixar post-credit scene. Let's go. So not every Pixar film has a post-credit scene, but there are 13 that do. So let's start with number 13. So the 13th entry on this list is Brave's post-credit scene. And the reason for that is because it adds nothing to an already shite film, and it's just not funny. It doesn't make it feel like that sitting there was worth it. And for me, if a post-credit scene doesn't make you feel, yes, I'm glad I sat here for an extra 10 minutes through the credits to see this, then what's the point in it? So that's why that one is the bottom of the list. The 12th entry on this list is Cars 3. Now, Cars 3 as a film isn't great, so if there's a post-credit scene, which obviously there was, otherwise it wouldn't be on this list, then you want it to be good. You want it to feel like, yes, I've sat here through a shite film, the credits for the shite film, but I get to see this glorious post-credit scene. And that didn't happen. The scene isn't funny, it drags on, nothing really happens, it doesn't add to the story, it doesn't feel worth it. And that's why it's very low on the list. Number 11 on the list is A Bug's Life. Now, this is an example of one of my favourite types of post-credit scenes. It's a blooper reel. Now, the idea of a blooper reel for an animated film at the time was very new, because obviously in a film where it's live action, you're going to have a lot of bloopers. But in animation, there isn't as many bloopers because they're reading right there from a script. So the way they animate them is just it's very charming. But A Bug's Life bloopers weren't very funny, so sorry. Now the 10th post-credit scene on this list is the final post-credit scene from Toy Story 4. By the way, there are like 4 post-credit scenes in that film, so if you're confused, that's what's gone on there. And the 4th one is where, probably should have said this before, spoilers for 13 Pixar films here, so, you know, if you haven't seen them all, then there might be spoilers here, there might not be. Just be wary of that going forward. But the 4th and final post-credit scene from Toy Story 4 is where Jessie comes home from Bonnie's day at daycare and brings home a knifey. It doesn't have a name, I don't think, but a female version of Forky, but instead of a spork, it's a knife. And there's a kind of funny interaction there. I just hope they don't take that and make it into something bigger, like a film or a short or anything. And that's coming from a Toy Story fan, because Toy Story's done. Leave it. No more Toy Story, please. Thank you. Moving on to number 9 on the list is the Plush Rush post-credit scene from Toy Story 4. Now, this is, again, was it needed? Probably not. Was it funny? Sort of. Is it as bad as some of the others on the list? No. So we just see Ducky and Bunny attack the carnival worker with laser eyes, and then it turns out that was all them explaining a story to Duke Boom, so it's quite funny. But yeah, we're getting to sort of the mediocre part of the list now. These are sort of, yes, I would watch them, but I wouldn't stay if I was watching it in a cinema. I'd just wait, sort of thing. So whilst 8 isn't a technically post-credit scene, it's after the film says the end, so shut up. And that post-credit scene is Finding Nemo, where we see the tank gang in their plastic bags after being put in them so the dentist can clean the tank, finally make it into the ocean. Now I love Finding Nemo, but the reason this isn't higher up on my list is that it doesn't go anywhere. We see Peach, the starfish, is the final one to make it into the ocean, and then they sit there and sort of go, oh, well now what do we do? And it's a funny-ish gag, I get it, but it doesn't lead anywhere until the post-credit scene of Finding Dory. So whilst it's a good running gag, I would have liked it to go somewhere. I don't mind where, I don't mind how long it sort of went for, I would just liked it to go somewhere a bit bigger than it did. The 7th entry on this list is the first and second post-credit scene from Toy Story 4. So the reason I put first and second in one scene is because it's sort of a continuation after some credits. And this is where we first see what sort of things Ducky, Bunny, Duke Kaboom, Bo Peep and Woody would get up to now that the other toys have left them at the carnival. And what we see is the toys helping kids win prizes by, when they shoot the ducks that go past, Ducky and Bunny will push them down even if they don't hit it, and then Bo and Woody will chuck a toy up onto the counter for the kids to collect. Now this is a lovely idea to see what they got up to prior, that's before, post the toys leaving them. And it's sort of an addition to Lamp Life, which is a Pixar short, which is basically where Bo says what happened once she left, and sort of I like those two as connecting plots as to what is life like around that little town. Number 6 is Monsters University. Now this is one of my personal favourites, but not the best. Personal favourites because it's childish humour and I'm a child. Not the best because it's about 3 seconds long and it does, you know. But it's basically where that slug that we see near the start running to his class finally gets there, just to be told by a janitor, the year's over, you've missed it. So it's quite simple, but effective. Number 5 is a previously mentioned post-credit scene from this very video, and it is Finding Dory. So, at the end of Finding Dory, we see Fluke and Rudder, the sea lions, sat on their rock. Gerald still tries to get on, and once they've screamed Gerald off the rock, we see 5, maybe 6, can't remember, I watched it this morning, bags float past full of green algae. They all wipe off, and it is the Tank Gang. Now, that is the only lead on from the first Finding Nemo post-credit scene that we get, but it was great to see them again. I just wish they had done more with the Tank Gang in the second film, because I love the Tank Gang. This isn't the only thing that happens. Gerald finally gets his revenge and gets on the rock. Team Gerald! Now, Inside Out is an interesting one, and that's why it's come at number 4. And that is because we get to see inside other characters' minds. And the only 2 characters we've seen, other than Riley, inside the minds, is the mum and the dad. Now, we get to see the teacher's mind, a dog's mind, a cat's mind. There's one more, I can't remember what it is. Oh, and a bus driver's mind. And what's so interesting is they all have such different emotions and genders to the emotions. So the bus drivers are all male anger. The teachers are all female, but the range of emotions. So this begs the question, what does it mean? Like, what are the emotions? Is it depending on how you identify as a gender and sexuality as to what gender your emotions are? Is it how your personality is as to what, like, type of emotion they are? Because that bus driver is always quite angry. They're all anger. The teacher goes through loads of different emotions and identifies as a woman, therefore they're all female and a range of emotions. And are Riley's emotions mixed genders and emotions? Because she's just finding out who she is, and are all kids like that? Who knows? There is a theory about it on a channel somewhere, probably Super Carlin Brothers, probably Seamus Gorman. But yeah, go over there and check them out because that explains it more than I could. Number 3 is Cars. Now, Cars, again, it's a post-credit scene that doesn't link directly to the events of the film. What it is a drive-in theatre, which is obviously a reference to it being Cars, but it's also a thing in real life. And that theatre is playing a range of parodied Pixar films recreated with cars, from Monsters Inc. to A Bug's Life, and they are hysterical. And one of my favourite moments of that post-credit scene is when we see the abominable snowman from Monsters Inc. as a monster truck he says the line,
"Stuck out here in this wasteland without chains."
But Mike, the Boo-mobile's in trouble. She needs our help.
You're still not listening.
Welcome to the Himalayas. Snow cone? Oh, that abominable snowplow is quite the comic thespian.
and then Mac responds by saying, that fella's got such a nice voice, he's a thespian, something like that. And that is a reference to them both being voiced, that's the Abominable Snowman and Mac, by John Ratzenberger. Now Ratzenberger is somewhat of a lucky charm for Pixar, and an Easter egg for fans to try and find, as he has had a cameo or role in every single feature Pixar film, from the Abominable Snowman to Mac, Ham, to that little crab in Finding Dory. He was the Underminer. He was one of the builders in Up. So it's nice to see him make a reference to that in a film. That, however, isn't the only post-credit scene from Cars, and the next one, I've just grouped these two together, is the minibuses, mini-cars, minivans, there's the word, being lost still. If you're unfamiliar with Cars, then there's a scene where there's two cars coming through Radiator Springs, not knowing where they are, asking how to get onto the interstate. And at the end of the film, we see them still being lost, and Larry, is that his name? Still being arrogant, stubborn, and refusing to ask for directions, and then a bug flies into the screen. So it's a funny little cutesy end to a mediocre film. Here we go, we are in the top two. Now, some of you may know what these are because you've narrowed it down to there are only two other Pixar films that have post-credit scenes. Others of you might have a life and don't know off the top of your head which Pixar films do and don't have post-credit scenes. But the two top post-credit scenes are actually from my favourite Pixar franchise, Toy Story. So number 2 on this list is Toy Story 2. And that again is a blooper reel. Now this is one of the first post-credit scenes I can remember seeing as a child, and that might be why it's so high up, and it has just stuck with me. The bloopers of Wheezy swallowing his squeaker again, Woody getting stuck in the donut seat thing, they're just so iconic for me as a person. They might not even be that good, but watching them back is so nostalgic for me, as that is a film I grew up with, and it is my favourite Toy Story film. Now, it is time to reveal my favourite Pixar post-credit scene, and that is from Toy Story 3. Now, Toy Story 3 on its own is an amazing film. It's up there in the top tier of Toy Story and Pixar films. And the post-credit scene is no different. So it opens with a box that says donate, and inside the box is a bunch of random toys, including Zurg. They then get pushed off, introduced to the other toys, and the dump truck that originally introduced Lotso into the plot is instead carrying Ken and Barbie as they welcome the new toys to the kindergarten. We then see toys such as Chunk and Twitch being played with in the caterpillar room, but in a way of it's almost like a sport. So Chunk gets thrown under a dresser or a drawer, a cabinet, who knows, gets pulled in, and then Twitch gets put there as almost like a sub, and Ken is being the ref, there's Barbie being a cheerleader, and they've made it into sort of a sport. So it's nice to see the toys that have been corrupted by Lotso actually helping everyone and just all getting along. We then cut to the sandpit, where Big Baby's making a sandcastle, Ken's sunbathing, Barbie's helping Big Baby, and we see the shadows of the soldiers parachuting into Sunnyside. I have to admit, I was disappointed when the soldiers left the toys in Toy Story 3, because I didn't see a reason for it, and I love the soldiers, but seeing them come back in Toy Story 3 was delightful. I just wish they'd made an appearance in Toy Story 4, but I guess not. So there we have it. That was my list, ranking every Pixar post-credit scene from number 13 to number 1. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you didn't, please give it a dislike. Comment what you thought. What's your favourite? Are there any that I missed? I hope not, because I did go through on Disney Plus and watch every film to check. Also subscribe if you haven't already, or if you're new. If you are new, welcome. Don't expect any better content than this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Eat cantaloupe.